Good evening. It was an unprovoked act of violence that took the life of a 15-year-old boy last summer.
Tonight, a Canada-wide warrant's been issued for a man wanted in connection with the death of 15-year-old Jakai Jack. CTV's Janice Golding's been following the investigation and joins us live with the latest. Janice.
Hi, Nathan. Yes, police have arrested 2 men and are still looking for 1 more in connection to the shooting death of a Toronto teen.
Police have issued a Canada-wide warrant for this man, who they have identified as 20-year-old Abdul Yebarababa, the Toronto man wanted for second-degree murder in the shooting death of a 15-year-old last summer.
His family continues to live with the unimaginable loss of a child whose life was just beginning.
Last June, 15-year-old Jakai Jack was caught up in an altercation at a gathering in Mount Dennis near Jane and Emmett.
He was not involved in gangs. He was not engaged in criminal activity. He was simply a young person meeting friends on a summer night. His murder was completely unprovoked, act of violence that devastated his family.
Jack's family is suffering, so too his community at large.
It's senseless.
It's devastating. For these youths, wrong place, wrong time is a serious matter here.
On Tuesday, 19-year-old Jaden Samuel James was arrested in Toronto and charged with accessory after the fact murder. And yesterday, 21-year-old Rajveer Gill was arrested in BC. He is now being transported back to Toronto, where he will also be charged with accessory after the fact to murder.
When I spoke in July, I issued a warning. I said that anyone who helped the person responsible, whether by assisting them in escaping, hiding them, or destroying evidence, could face charges for accessory after the fact of murder. These 2 arrests demonstrate that we meant what we said.
2 arrests, but more than 8 months later, the alleged shooter is still on the loose.
It's very unfortunate for the family, and as they're still searching for their whoever killed the poor kid.
I'm just saddened by what happened. Obviously, it's a good thing that 2 people were arrested, but the fact that the actual shooter is still on the loose, it obviously breaks my heart to hear that.
Investigators appealing to the suspect's conscience, asking him to help a grieving family by turning himself in.
Meanwhile, if you have any information about the suspect's whereabouts, police are urging you to contact them or Crime Stoppers if you want to remain anonymous. Reporting live, I'm Janice Golding. Now back to Nathan.
Thank you, Janice. Also tonight, dispatching drones instead of officers. Durham Police launch a pilot project using aerial devices as first responders in some emergency situations. But first, the Premier is pushing for a change to give TTC special constables the power to arrest people using drugs on public transit.
CTV Chun Lithong has more on the call for increased protection for transit users.
They don't have all the power of a police officer, but special constables may soon have new authority to arrest a person who uses drugs on public transit.
I think it's a good suggestion. I would support it. I've seen open drug use in the past.
You see it quite a bit, and no one really does anything.
The Solicitor General of Ontario has proposed changes to the Restricting Public Consumption of Illegal Substances Act. Initially focused on public parks, the proposed changes would allow special constables to tell anyone using drugs on public transit to stop or direct that person to leave. And they can ask anyone suspected of using drugs in public spaces to identify themselves. If the person refuses, they can be arrested.
This is a good option. I think it will allow officers to address the problem.
Sarah Kennedy is the president of the Ontario Special Constables Association. She says that special constables have always had the authority to arrest drug users. The result would be a criminal charge. But she says this change creates a more sensible response.
I'm expecting to see possibly a ticket, possibly what's called a summons, where we can say, okay, we're not giving you a fine, but we are compelling you to go before a justice of the peace and talk to them about this problem. Provincial courts are really empowered to apply probation orders that require that party to engage in therapy or rehabilitation efforts.
Do you understand people are scared to go on the subways right now? They do not feel safe on our subways.
And while some critics have said this change will victimize the vulnerable, Premier Doug Ford was quick to push back.
I know the system inside and out. We're going to help these people. We're spending hundreds of millions of dollars to help these people, and I want to get them back on their feet and be productive in society. That's what I want to do. I don't want them shooting up in the subways. Unacceptable.
The public does have the opportunity to weigh in on the proposed new regulation, and they can do so until March 1st. Sean Leathong, CTV News.
Time for a live look outside and look at our gorgeous skyline this evening. We still have daylight, relatively clear sky, and pretty nice temperature-wise for this time of the year. Let's bring in Lindsay Morrison with all the details, and she is out and about enjoying this evening. Lindsay, tell us all about where you are tonight.
Yeah, Michelle, this is a pretty cool spot, I think, to spend a Thursday evening or really any night of the week. You've heard of backyard skating rinks, but this one, I think, takes it to the next level. Check this out. We are in a backyard here in the Forest Hill area of Toronto. And yeah, this backyard rink has boards, it has a net, and we've got the Avenue Ducks here playing a little shimmy for us. So this is pretty fun. The weather cooperating, it's not too windy, and it's not too cold. In fact, tomorrow, we're gonna get a little early taste of spring. But first, here's a look at our current temperatures. Not bad out here, as mentioned. There is a bit of a wind chill factor, even though the winds aren't all that strong. So just dress accordingly. Dress for winter, of course. Winds have been coming out of the west today, pretty light compared to yesterday. And on the satellite and radar, all is pretty clear. We enjoyed a mix of sun and cloud, less in the way of snow today. Here's a look at what you can expect for the rest of the evening and the overnight. We've got lots more coming up live from this backyard skating rink. I may even throw on a pair of skates myself, Michelle and Nathan. But for now, I'll send it back inside to you.
All right, looking forward to it. Thank you, Lindsay. The Premier's unveiled a first look at what the new Ontario Science Centre may look like.
Doug Ford says the new waterfront location could be ready within 3 years. CTV's Queen's Park Bureau Chief Siobhan Morris joins us live with the details. Siobhan.
This is a day the Premier said he's been pumped for since he was a city councillor, a big dream of his coming to fruition today. Hearing from critics, though, they say this is a day that should have never been necessary. The excitement of a major piece of the redevelopment of Ontario Place kept the Premier up late.
I couldn't sleep last night. This is stunning. This is world class.
Plans are out for a new science centre on Toronto's waterfront, in a new structure along the shoreline and incorporating Ontario Place's iconic pods. $1 billion to design it, build it, and maintain it for 30 years.
So that we're not just putting great exhibits in there, that we're making sure that the building is cared for.
The government's pointed to poor maintenance of the old science centre and a potentially dangerous roof to justify closing it and moving it.
I wouldn't put my kids in there, and as the Premier, I'm not taking a chance.
But after 2 winters of heavy snow, critics aren't buying it.
It wouldn't matter what the state of repair is. He would have gone forward with it.
As impressive as it may look, opposition politicians see this new science centre as a solution in search of a problem.
There is a perfectly good, fit-for-purpose, ideally situated science centre at Don Mills and Eglinton, where it has been for decades.
Where critics argue money should have been spent on repairs.
Terrible location, first of all. And secondly, it's decrepit. It would probably take twice as long, and you got an old dumpy building.
The tourism minister says the centre's old home didn't make sense to increase traffic.
Compare it to being on the most iconic waterfront at the doorstep of the economic engine of the country.
While the new science centre is smaller, it makes more efficient use of space, with more permanent exhibition square footage than the old one.
You had to go a long distance between exhibits. I mean, it just didn't make sense for the flow of learning.
The science centre fits in with Ontario Place's new parks, trails and beaches, an updated concert venue, plus a controversial parking garage and private spa and water park. The Auditor General found the Science Centre move.
They were doing it to divert attention from the money that they're wasting at Ontario Place with this private spa. It's just an insane project.
The timeline on the Science Centre here is really short. Construction is supposed to start this spring with an opening scheduled for 2029. Reporting live from Queen's Park, I'm Siobhan Morris. Nathan, back to you.
Thank you, Siobhan. Further east along the lakeshore waterfront, Toronto sharing an updated look at a new crossing that's coming to the Portlands. The Keating Channel pedestrian bridge will connect downtown to the recently dedicated island and park along the new mouth of the Don River. Officials shared the initial S-shaped design in 2024. It since has been reimagined and rotated to cut down on its size and cost. It's expected to open in mid-2028.
Still ahead, the Prime Minister heads to India, hoping to restore relations and secure new trade deals, the mounting economic pressure and potential risks. A major update today to a story that drew countrywide attention last summer. Charges have been withdrawn against a man in Lindsay accused of assaulting an alleged home intruder last August. Kawartha Lakes police say the man woke up in his apartment to find an intruder carrying a crossbow. The intruder was then seriously injured following an altercation. The resident was charged with aggravated assault and assault with a weapon. That prompted calls for changes to self-defense laws from Premier Doug Ford and Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre. The Crown said today it's reviewed additional evidence and the current laws, and it has concluded there's no longer a reasonable prospect of conviction. The alleged intruder still faces charges, including break and enter and possession of a weapon for a dangerous purpose.
Durham Police are investigating a house explosion in Oshawa over the weekend. Shortly after 10 Saturday night, police were called to a home near Gibbons and Annapolis Avenue for reports of an explosion. When they arrived, they found the home engulfed in flames. Fire crews were eventually able to put the flames out. Nobody was hurt. Durham Region Police are asking anyone with information to come forward.
A dramatic day on the stand for the sixth accuser at the Frank Stronach sexual assault trial.
At one point, the judge said the cross-examination had become a shouting match, and the day ended with the woman being taken for medical care. CTV's Allison Hurst has more.
A tense cross-examination played out in a courtroom today in Frank Stronach's sexual assault trial. The sixth of his 7 accusers took the stand for a second day. She cannot be identified, but alleges she was sexually assaulted by Stronach on Valentine's Day in 1986. She claims after having drinks, snacks, and dancing at Rooney's, the club the auto tycoon owned, he offered to drive her home. Instead, she says, he took her back to his harborfront condo. She testified when they were seated on his couch, he unzipped her pants and forced himself inside her. In her cross-examination, defense lawyer Leora Shemish pointed out inconsistencies between the complainant's testimony and statements she's previously made. In 2006, you agree with me that you never told police you were raped. You agree? Asks Shemish. No, in 2006, responds the complainant. You didn't tell police that. You agree? That's because I was afraid. I was afraid to say that because of the repercussions and about what was going to happen to me. Several times, the woman and defense were talking over each other during the cross-examination. Ontario Superior Court Justice Anne Malloy referred to it as a shouting match, adding that it's through no fault of Shemish, but raises concerns the defense is not getting its meaningful right to a fair cross-examination. I don't think in my career I have ever raised my voice to a witness the way I have today, commented Malloy to the lawyers. As questions continued, the complainant frequently had to be reminded to answer the question. Malloy acknowledged this is difficult on her when the complainant had stepped out, adding, "This is a spectacle that I am not comfortable being part of. I'm yelling at this woman and I need to because she won't stop." A confinement charge was dropped by the prosecution in relation to this woman's case yesterday, so Stronach now faces 11 charges. The day ended early with the obviously distressed complainant being taken for medical care. Stronach has pleaded not guilty to all charges. The trial continues Monday. Allison Hurst, CTV News.
Durham Regional Police are hosting an event this evening to showcase the newest members of the service.
They will be showing off drones, which will be serving as first responders in a new pilot project. CTV's John Musselman reports.
We are officially launching our Drone as a First Responder pilot project.
This Durham Regional Police video showcases the new program. It will allow remotely piloted drones to be deployed from locations across the region, giving police what they say is a new tool to respond to incidents quickly and effectively.
On a frigid winter morning, 911 Communications received a call that a vulnerable elderly man living with dementia had wandered away from his home without proper clothing for the dangerous cold. Every minute posing a greater risk to his safety, a remotely piloted drone launched within seconds of the call being dispatched.
We showed this video to residents in Whitby today. Here's what they told us.
I think it's kind of cool. I think it'll help a lot of people. They'll get there quicker than most cops, I think.
The idea is great. Definitely saves time, saves life. That's the first I heard of it, but if they can use that, to look at issues that are ongoing in the community, then I'm all.
The Drone as First Responder program is not unique to Durham Region. Nearby Peel Region introduced it last year, and it has been deployed in several police departments across the country. Still, the drones have raised concerns about privacy, protection, and oversight. Tamir Israel is with the Canadian Civil Liberties Association.
Really big concern over, the ability to layer on
automated tools onto the drones that can cause a whole set of additional problems. Durham Police is saying they're not using facial recognition, for example, or other types of, analytical tools that would let the drone identify people or cars as it's driving over the city at the moment. But again, those restrictions are not legally binding. So it's good that they're not intending to do that now, but we need something more comprehensive to prevent those types of tools from being adopted.
We look forward to sharing updates as the pilot project progresses, and we remain committed to using innovative tools responsibly, transparently, and in ways that strengthen public safety across Durham Region.
Durham Regional Police declined an interview today, saying it will be hosting a community information session in Whitby tonight. Residents can learn about the program, see a demonstration, and ask questions about privacy protection and oversight. John Musselman, CTV News in Whitby.
Ottawa is renewing its funding for supports offered under Jordan's Principle. It's aimed at ensuring First Nations children get equal access to social and health services without delays caused by jurisdictional squabbles between governments.
I know that the past few months has created much uncertainty for families. We've had the opportunity to speak with them and collaborate with them, and looking at what we are going to be doing with the future of Jordan's Principle. This first step is announcing this critical funding and creating the stability that they need.
$1.55 billion will go towards maintaining the program through to March of 2027. Child welfare advocates have expressed concern about a backlog in applications for support under Jordan's Principle. Indigenous Services Minister Mandy Gulmasti said new staff will be brought on to help process those cases.
And also in Ottawa, the Ministers of Defense and Foreign Affairs welcomed their counterparts from South Korea today. Together, they announced the signing of a new deal on defense cooperation.
As strategic partners, Canada and the Republic of Korea will continue to work together and to promote regional stability, reinforcing a free, open, and secure Indo-Pacific region.
The deal focuses on the exchange and protection of classified military and defense information. It's another sector where Ottawa is looking to work with Seoul following a memorandum of understanding signed last month. That document saw Canada and South Korea agree to strengthen economic collaboration in sectors like auto and battery manufacturing, critical minerals, and artificial intelligence. Prime Minister Carney is en route to Mumbai, starting a 9-day mission to build more trade relationships with India and other countries. But the visit is not without controversy.
CTV's Abigail Beeman is on that flight and outlined the goal of this trip before takeoff.
In a significant shift, a Canadian government official told reporters Canada does not believe the Indian government is engaged in the same kind of activity the RCMP and the former Prime Minister accused them of. The RCMP and Justin Trudeau said there was evidence the Indian government was involved in violence on Canadian soil, while a CSIS report called India one of the main perpetrators of foreign interference and espionage. 4 Indian nationals are accused in the murder of Canadian Sikh activist Hardeep Singh Nijjar. That case is currently before the BC Supreme Court. At a briefing, a Canadian official suggested those kinds of activities are no longer happening, stressing productive conversations with the Indian government now and saying twice they didn't believe this trip would go ahead if those activities were still taking place. While some in Canada's Sikh community strongly reject the claim, saying the danger is still a reality, the World Sikh Organization of Canada says more than a dozen community members live under a credible threat. Now, overall, this is a major Indo-Pacific trip with the aim to diversify trade away from the United States. Canada and India have committed to a broad trade deal. While that won't be finalized on this trip, government officials say it will be formally launched. We can also expect Carney and India's Prime Minister to sign a number of smaller agreements known as MOUs or Memorandums of Understanding. CTV News has learned there are expected to be letters of intent as well as MOUs signed on defense, critical minerals, and clean energy, as well as something expected to be announced around pulses and uranium. Canada and India have been in talks over a reported $4 billion 10-year uranium deal. Pulses and uranium, both very important in Saskatchewan. And Premier Scott Moe is one of 2 premiers joining on the trip, along with New Brunswick's Susan Holt. Some analysts say big picture this trip is about Carney putting his Davos speech into action.
He's taking that message of middle powers coming together to deal with the disruptions that we're facing, given what the great powers, US and China, are doing, to the region that's actually the most consequential to Canada's future economic prosperity and security.
This will be Mark Carney's first trip to India, Australia, and Japan as Prime Minister. Abigail Beeman, CTV News, Ottawa.
Dueling speeches today from two key political figures.
Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre shared his vision for Canada-U.S. relations and took aim at U.S. President Trump, while Dominic LeBlanc, who is leading trade negotiations, gave a rare update on talks. CTV's Mike LeCouture has the details.
What President Trump says about Canada is wrong.
It's the strongest language Pierre Poilievre has used against the U.S. president to date. In a speech to the Economic Club of Canada, the Conservative leader laid out how he would deal with the American administration if he was leading Canada. He also took a shot at Prime Minister Carney's assessment of the global trading system.
We should not declare a permanent rupture with our biggest customer and closest neighbor in favor of a strategic partnership for a new world order with Beijing.
Poilievre told the Bay Street crowd he wants to negotiate a new tariff-free auto pact with the U.S., an end to sectoral tariffs, the revival of the Keystone XL pipeline, and a full exemption from Buy American provisions. He also proposed an all-party CUSMA working group of parliamentarians to help the government in the review of the trilateral trade agreement.
I think that Canadians are expecting on this an existential issue for many Canadians, a signal from the opposition leader that he has some solutions.
While Poilievre was offering his remedies for the issues with our ally, the minister responsible for trade with the U.S. was giving his own update on negotiations and setting expectations for hard-hit industries like steel, aluminum, lumber, and autos.
But those will be bilateral arrangements. Sort of adjacent to would be the bureaucratic phrase, the trilateral trade agreement.
Now, President Trump has openly spoken about walking away from CUSMA completely. However, some trade experts warn replacing it with bilateral agreements could be difficult.
Particularly given the ways in which some of the key sectors in question in the agreement are so integrated between the three that it would be very challenging to divvy up into separate understandings.
While Poilievre has proposed a cross-partisan team to help renegotiate CUSMA, it's unclear if the government will accept that help. Meantime, Minister LeBlanc confirms he will be meeting with U.S. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer in D.C. next week. Mike LeCouture, CTV News, Ottawa.
Indirect talks between the United States and Iran have wrapped up in Switzerland following escalating warnings from Washington that military strikes could be imminent. Both the American and Iranian delegations left the Geneva compound where they'd been meeting throughout the day. The talks are centered around Tehran's nuclear program and the Trump administration's threats of military action if the country doesn't agree to limits on it. The foreign minister of Oman, which was mediating the talks, said significant progress was made, but didn't provide details other than to say more talks are on the horizon.
Meanwhile, officials in Cuba say a speedboat that entered its waters yesterday was part of an attempted armed infiltration by expats living in the United States. The country claims those on board the vessel from Florida had assault rifles, Molotov cocktails, and other weapons, and its forces returned fire. 4 people on the speedboat were killed and 6 were sent to hospital. This comes as Cuba faces an ongoing U.S.-imposed fuel blockade.
The Jalisco New Generation cartel has made global headlines following the capture and killing of their leader by Mexican government forces.
It triggered a wave of violence across Mexico Sunday, leaving Canadian tourists terrified and stranded in Puerto Vallarta. Avery Haynes is in the beach town and spoke to members of the cartel.
Yeah, I'm driving through a neighborhood on the outskirts of Puerto Vallarta. This area is controlled by the cartel. And a member of the Jalisco New Generation cartel has agreed to meet with me, but he doesn't want to do it in public.
We're doing the interview in our vehicle. Our security is in the back seat and will translate. Pedro's what they call a small fish, a low-level drug runner who must constantly stay in contact with his bosses. He repeatedly gets messages about the movement of police and the military in the area.
He's having to check in every 5 minutes?
Yes, and they're informing them that there's government vehicles moving.
The one day of violence seen here in Puerto Vallarta and across Mexico was carried out by low-level guys like Pedro. He says it was an orchestrated attack against the government with strict orders not to target tourists.
On Sunday, there was the retribution for the killing of El Mencho. What happens now? Will there be more violence?
No, there will not be more violence. The storm has calmed. It already passed. This violence it was just against the government. It's nothing against civilians, nothing against tourism, nothing against citizens. Everything's calm and it's safe now.
He can't make it out because of the walkie-talkie, but he says everything is calm. It's safe now.
Who is the new leader of the Jalisco New Generation cartel?
El nuevo jefe es el yerno del Mencho. The new boss is the son-in-law of El Mencho.
El Mencho's son-in-law is the new leader of the Jalisco New Generation cartel.
Sí, ya estaba el segundo al mando. Yes, that is correct. He was the second one in command, so as soon as this happened, it was chosen that he was going to be up, right?
What do they call him?
No sabré poder. I wouldn't be able to give you that information. We're here for the people. We don't go against tourism. We don't go against people that are innocent.
Pedro insists that there are no directives for more violence and that tourists are safe here. And while he claims to know who the new boss is, we have no way of verifying that. Organized crime experts say there was no clear line of succession. Avery Haynes, CTV News, Puerto Vallarta.
Coming up, Toronto has been waking up with her for 40 years, and today she announced plans to bid farewell. Marilyn Denis decides it's time to step away from Chum.
All right, the skates are on, and we are enjoying a good old-fashioned night here in Canada. And we're playing some hooky while we're at it. It's a great night to make the most of the winter season. And if you're thinking of doing some skating yourself tomorrow, here's a look at what you can expect. Condition-wise, yeah, it's going to feel a lot more like spring tomorrow. There is that, but it's also going to be comfortable for spending time outside. It is a little bit of a temperature roller coaster over the next couple of days. Warm for Saturday, back below freezing for Sunday. We'll give you an idea of what's in store for the rest of the week ahead. Coming up live here on CTV News at 6. We're live in Forest Hill at this epic backyard rink. More to come after the break.
When you see it happen, send it to CTV News. Text 10400. From your screen to ours. Text 10400.
It was not your average day at the office for beloved Canadian broadcaster Marilyn Denis.
Chum 104.5 listeners woke up to a big announcement that marks the end of an era.
It is -7 right now.
-7. In the summer, it'll be +24.
Hopefully.
And this summer is when I'm going to celebrate my 40th anniversary living in this Chum universe.
She's a morning radio icon, and today Marilyn Denis surprised listeners.
40 years doing this morning show.
40 years.
Isn't that amazing?
I love it.
I can't believe I'm saying that. But I also have to say something else. It's been a privilege, but I'm also going to step away this summer from this morning show and this station that I love.
After a historic radio career that started in 1976, she says it's time.
It's hard to leave when everything's going well, but I thought that was a good benchmark to say that's enough. And maybe some people feel the same way.
They know what makes you feel good.
Toronto talks about Roger, Rick, and Marilyn.
Her presence on Canadian airwaves groundbreaking. She says she got into radio because she wasn't hearing female voices.
I'm Edmonton born, but I was brought up in Pittsburgh because of my dad's work, and I used to listen to the top 40 radio stations. I thought, these guys are having fun, yes, and they play great music, yes, but I wasn't hearing any women.
She added her distinct voice to the mix and built a successful television career, too. Denis signed off from her daytime TV show in 2023, honored with a Lifetime Achievement Award at the Canadian Screen Awards the following year.
Love Marilyn. I absolutely love her from childhood.
Great fashion and just been a wonderful person. Oh, I'm going to miss her. That sucks.
You are going to be so missed, Marilyn Denis. You are Chum and have been Chum for 40 years. And I don't want there to be any tears.
She says even though it's her decision, it's not an easy one.
It's kind of like my routine for 40 years.
For 40 years, waking up at what time?
Well, it depends.
2, 3 in the morning?
Today was 2:30.
No sleeping in yet, though. Her final show will air sometime this summer with plenty of surprises along the way.
What she's going to be missed. What an icon, a superstar. And I know she's going to do great whatever she does next.
I know. So nice behind the scenes, too, like the truly kind person. Lindsay's in the mix now. She is outside enjoying an epic backyard rink. Lindsay, I wanted my dad to make me a backyard rink as a kid, and he tried, but the ice was never right. That is exactly what I dreamed of.
This is the dream, Michelle and Nathan. Not only that, but we've had a little hot chocolate behind the scenes too, so that's made it even better. We're actually going to talk about how you can keep a rink looking this great in just a moment. But first, I want to introduce you to the Avenue Road Ducks, who have been playing a little shimmy out here tonight. We have Vincent, Lucas, we have Blake, and we have Ryan. Ryan, this is your backyard. This is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. I get to come out here whenever I want and just shoot pucks.
Yeah, so you've had this rink for a number of years now. I think a lot of kids watching at home right now are thinking, I want that in my backyard. Yeah. But you get to enjoy this all winter.
Yeah, it's like the best. Kid's dream, probably.
Okay, well, you guys are awesome hockey players. I'm picking up a few pointers. Blake, you've got some playoffs happening this weekend.
We do, on Sunday, big game. Okay. First game of the playoffs. Hopefully we can get a W and win, you know?
Okay, we're rooting for you guys. Thanks so much. Go ahead and play a little more hockey. I'm going to introduce you here to Noah. So Noah, you maintain this rink. You run a company called rinkbuild.com. Tell me a little bit about, obviously we need cold weather in order to maintain a rink, but what else do you need?
So what you need is water. That's the main thing. So if you have they call them home bonies. Okay. So you can make a little DIY Zamboni pretty much and resurface the rink. But what's most important is to shovel off all of the snow. Because when you Zamboni over top of snow, that's what creates your bumps. So to make sure to have a fully clear ice and then do a full Zamboni, and you can have really great ice. There's some other things you could do that are a little bit more sophisticated that our company kind of specializes in. But for a good rink that'll last you all winter long, making sure to do your home boni and doing your adequate shoveling.
So we're out here celebrating the good that comes from a cold winter like the one we've had. The hope is that anybody with a backyard rink will be able to keep it, to be able to maintain it the way you do until when, approximately?
We usually skate into March break. We never know with Toronto winters because it throws us curveballs like crazy, but this winter has been an absolute dream. We've had a little bit of freezing rain. We've had some warmer days, but, you know, this year has been a backyard rink owner's dream.
And you've built how many rinks this winter?
We've built about 100, 150. We don't maintain as many as I like to, but we do a lot of natural skating rinks on the more affordable end, so kind of everyone can get into it. And then we have services to help people along the way, DIYers, all the way up to fully hands-off. We kind of have everyone covered.
Well, great stuff. Thanks for showing us this one. It's very cool, literally, and so too is the weather. So let's get to your forecast, and we'll let you know the fact that it is still chilly at this hour at Pearson Airport. There is a little bit of a wind chill factor, but the winds are not overly strong tonight. Almanac. So today, our seasonal average is 2 degrees. We weren't quite there today. We stayed below the freezing mark, but that's okay. Tomorrow is going to be a mild one. First, here's a look at your overnight lows. Temperature around -6 degrees in Toronto, feeling more like -8, but expect it to feel into the minus teens again in places like Niagara Falls and Waterloo. Tomorrow's highs, though, look at this. 7 degrees tomorrow in Grand Bend, 6 in the Brantford area, 5 degrees for you tomorrow in Whitby, 6 in Oakville, and areas further east are going to be feeling some mild weather as well. On the satellite and radar, we don't have too much to show you here. It's been quiet today comparatively, and not a whole lot happening in the short range. Chance of flurries here and there. No major snow system, so that's great news. We'll set the forecast radar in motion, and then we'll get to your 7-day forecast where we can point out the fact that it is still going to be mild on Saturday. However, it is going to be much colder as we make our way into the day on Sunday. So just keep that in mind. We go from a taste of spring back into winter, and then the early part of next week looks a little chilly as well. We are live here in Toronto tonight. This is the Forest Hill neighborhood. We're enjoying a backyard rink, and I'm working on my skating. I'm still learning to skate backwards. Nathan and Michelle, sending it back to you.
All right, you're doing pretty well. That's it. Also tonight, a major investment in cancer prevention research. The feds earmarked $41 million to explore new strategies to reduce the risk and improve early detection. The federal government is investing $41 million to create 19 new teams to study ways to prevent a variety of cancers.
These teams will be led by talented researchers across the country, including 2 right here at the Princess Margaret Cancer Center.
The announcement was made at the Princess Margaret Cancer Center. The initiative is being led by the Canadian Institute of Health Research in partnership with several groups, including the Terry Fox Research Institute and the Canadian Cancer Society.
As some jurisdictions limit children's access to social media, Instagram is adding a new tool aimed at protecting teens who may be in need of additional support. The social media app already has a number of options for parents to supervise teen accounts, and today, officials at Instagram announced plans to notify parents if their teen repeatedly tries to search for terms related to suicide or self-harm within a short period of time. Parent company Meta says it's working to implement similar alerts based on teens' conversations with artificial intelligence tools.
Some unexpected news from singer-rapper Thee Stallion today. She's headed to Broadway. The Grammy winner posted on social media today announcing she'll be starring in Moulin Rouge on Broadway. The show is an adaptation of the 2001 musical movie, and Megan will be the first woman to take on the role of nightclub owner Harold Zidler. The rapper said that she's excited to show fans a new side of herself. She's scheduled to perform on Broadway for 8 weeks starting March 24th.
We now know when the highly awaited second season of steamy hockey romance Heated Rivalry is set to debut. Series creator Jacob Tierney told CBS Mornings the wait is thanks in part to the surprise success of the show.
We didn't know we were going to sell this show. We didn't know anybody was going to watch it. I had not written a second season. I did not know I was going to get a second season, but it's all happening. We're writing it now. We're getting ready to start shooting this summer, and there will be more Heated Rivalry on your TVs truly as soon as humanly possible.
Heated Rivalry tells the story of the relationship between two star hockey players. The show is adapted from the hit novels by Rachel Reed, and it's produced by CTV's Bell Media partner, Crave. Season 2 is expected to hit screens in April 2027. After the break, veteran pitcher Max Scherzer re-signs with the Blue Jays, and his 8-year-old daughter couldn't be happier. Her heartwarming letter to the team coming up.
The last of the big banks reported first quarter earnings today, with all 6 posting higher profit. B&M Bloomberg's Lindsay Biscaya has the numbers.
Shares of CIBC hit a record high today after first quarter results came in above expectations. Profit topped estimates, and the bank reported better than expected results in its capital markets business. This marks the second straight year CIBC has beat expectations. This report also covers the first quarter with a new CEO in charge. And here are the closing numbers for the day. The Canadian dollar is down to 73.09 cents. West Texas Intermediate is up to 65.43. Western Canadian Select also up to end the day to 51.08. And the TSX climbing to yet another new high, finishing today at 34,501. And those are your business headlines. I'm Lindsay Biscaya.
Meanwhile, customers at Burger King could soon be receiving their orders with the help of AI. Restaurant Brands International, which owns the fast food chain, says it's going to roll out a new voice-based coach called Patty. The company says the tool, powered by OpenAI, will advise employees on how to upsell customers while listening to interactions to find potential improvements. Patty is expected to arrive in Canadian Burger King locations later this year. And there's another developing story in the business world as the corporate tug-of-war over Warner Brothers appears to be coming to an end. Netflix was originally set to purchase Warner Brothers Discovery, but fellow media giant Paramount Skydance entered the fray, saying it would beat the streamer's offer and argued it had a better chance of securing regulatory approval. After several months of back and forth, the board of Warner Brothers Discovery said it felt Paramount's $31 a share offer was superior. Today, Netflix said it was not going to raise its lowest offer. If Paramount's bid goes through, it'll also gain control of CNN and other assets owned by Warner Brothers Discovery.
Demand for commercial real estate is expected to pick up this year, due in part to workers being forced to return to in-person work. Royal LePage's 2026 commercial real estate report forecasts a gradual recovery to continue for the office sector. Leasing activity is due to increase across Canada's biggest cities as more companies abandon remote work models that were implemented during the pandemic. 2/3 of commercial real estate experts surveyed expect demand for office space to either modestly increase or remain the same in their market this year.
The Maple Leafs are set to face off with the Florida Panthers tonight.
Over it goes Nylander, and Tavares shooting, scores!
The Leafs were in action against the Tampa Bay Lightning last night, and they ended up losing the game 4-2, which snapped the team's 3-game winning streak. The Leafs will look to get back into the win column when they face off against the Panthers tonight at 7.
Multiple sources are reporting the Blue Jays are reuniting with veteran pitcher Max Scherzer. The 41-year-old reportedly agreed to a one-year deal worth $3 million, which also includes the chance to earn an additional $10 million based on performance bonuses. Scherzer made 17 regular season starts for the Jays last year after dealing with a thumb injury for much of the season. He also started 3 games, how could we forget, during the team's postseason run. Meantime, Scherzer's wife posted this photo on Instagram of a letter one of the couple's daughters wrote to the Blue Jays. The post reads, "Back in December, Brooke wrote this letter, put it in an envelope, and asked us to mail it to the Blue Jays." The letter reads, "Dear Blue Jays, I am so sorry that you didn't win the World Series. I hope that you win next time. I hope my dad is back on the team. My whole family loves spending time in Toronto with our dad. We love the aquarium, CN Tower, and of course the stadium. I am looking forward to coming back next season. Love, Max Scherzer's daughter."
The City of Toronto is launching a new sweepstakes offering soccer fans a chance to attend the FIFA World Cup while supporting the future of the sport. The city is selling entries as part of its Soccer for All Legacy Program campaign. A total of 26 pairs of FIFA match invitations are set to be raffled off, including 2 for Canada's opening match on June 12th. Officials say proceeds will help deliver benefits that go well beyond the World Cup, including supporting new soccer mini pitches in equity-deserving neighborhoods.
Just ahead, 2 towns face off over the official birthplace of hockey, Nova Scotia's heated rivalry, when we come back.
Get Toronto's top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News app.
Finally tonight, there's a heated rivalry brewing among 2 East Coast communities.
At issue, which city can claim itself to be the birthplace of hockey? CTV's Paul Hollingsworth explains.
There is an intense made-in-the-Maritimes hockey rivalry brewing between 2 Nova Scotia communities. Windsor and Dartmouth both lay claims to be the place where hockey was invented in the 1800s.
These were found all back there.
Sports historian Danny Dill says there are essays and artifacts going back more than 200 years that prove hockey started in Windsor.
They were doing research in the 80s, and they come across this passage about 2 boys playing on Long Pond, and it was 1816, 1818.
But according to historian David Jones, hockey was first played on this frozen lake in Dartmouth using these strap-on skates.
Oh yeah, this goes back to the earliest days of playing hockey on Lake Banook, on Oat Hill Lake, on Halifax Harbor.
The Nova Scotia legislature recently introduced Bill 187, an act to recognize Windsor as the official birthplace of hockey. When Jones found out, his reaction was...
I said, "The Windsor what?"
Jones's father, Martin, wrote a book about hockey's original roots beginning in Dartmouth and says there is rock-solid research to back it up.
It's undeniable. It's right here. It's in Dartmouth. And sadly, Windsor doesn't have a claim at all.
Dill's reaction to the suggestion hockey was first played in Dartmouth?
I'd say, I'm sorry, no, it didn't. I mean, I really hate to say this. I have before, and I've got proof in here, documented proof.
Other places in Canada also claim to be the birthplace of hockey, including Montreal and Kingston, Ontario. Danny Dill says the historical evidence shows hockey started here in Windsor, Nova Scotia. People then introduced the sport to other parts of Canada, and he says there is no debate. Paul Hollingsworth, CTV News, Windsor, Nova Scotia.
Okay, we'll let them battle it out. In the meantime, kids, adults alike are going to enjoy the sport. It's happening behind our Lindsay Morrison tonight. Hey, Lindsay.
Hey, Michelle. Hey, Nathan. Yeah, I want to thank the Avenue Road Ducks for having us out here tonight for their game of shinny. Can you tell that I was a dancer? Yeah, shinny, not shimmy. But it's been awesome out here. The weather has cooperated, too. Here's one more look at what you can expect into the night tonight and into tomorrow. Tomorrow, we're going to climb to 6, 7 degrees in some areas. So how about that? Mix of sun and cloud expected, too. Next 3 days look like this. Saturday is still mild at +4. And then the temperature drops to -7 for a high on Sunday, and the early part of Monday is looking a little chilly too. Okay, Ryan, I'm gonna take a shot. Will you hold this microphone for me? Michelle and Nathan, here I go. I'm giving it a try.
6-7 scores.
6-7.
I'm not surprised. Her hubby is a great hockey player.
Thank you.
Nice shot.
What can I say?
A woman of many talents. Thank you, Lindsay. That's it for us, but be sure to join Omar Sachedina tonight at 11 for CTV National News, followed by Zoraida Allman with your next local newscast at 11:30.
In the meantime, our coverage continues anytime on CP24 and at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For Lindsay Morrison and the whole team here at CTV News, thanks for watching. Have a great night.